Hello everyone. Welcome to the Doctors Unfiltered podcast. Myself, Dr. Karthik deegutla, I'm an anesthesiologist. And on today's episode, we have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Deepthi Atmakuri, who is a board certified dermatologist, trichologist, and a hair transplant surgeon, and also the founder of Clinica Derm. So sit back, relax. Let's dive into the world of dermatology with Dr. Deepthi. Hello, Dr.
Hi,
Deepthi.
Dr.
Thank you for
Karthik.
joining us today.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
having
thank you.
me.
How are you, doctor?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great too. Finally, this event became possible. Firstly, this is something very unusual. I think this is the first time an anesthesiologist is making a candid conversation with a dermatologist,
Yeah, I
which
think
was never been before for me.
because dermat usually we don't have much of what do you say cross connection with other departments, right? So it's like a little bit less.
Yes, yes.
And I don't remember in my PG how many times I know there is a large anesthesia team, but we
Okay.
don't get much of referrals and all, right? So the interaction is also less with other departments. Also, I want
Very true.
to
Very.
congratulate you, Dr. Karthik. I have been following you on Instagram, your page Anesthesia Notes. It's really funny and it's like very, very relatable. So I keep sending those to my friends and all actually, like because it's pretty relatable. And I have found very, very less pages. Out of that, yours is really good actually.
Thank you, doctor. So to begin with, I would like to know how the day in life of a dermatologist is like. Like, how does your day begin and how does your day end? We usually stay in OTs, so the things are completely different. But concerning dermatology, how is it like?
So, people who are practicing dermatology and aesthetics, I would say it's a pretty fancy thing, maybe to put it like very honest, because our day begins at 10, and if you want to begin at 11, also is possible. I have seen very few people like
Hmm.
starting before that, unless you're into a medical
Hmm.
college practice also. But otherwise, people usually
Yes.
come like when you have a private practice or like when you're into dermat, they do come mostly in the evening. So our mornings are like very relaxed. You can wake up, do your workout routine, do your healthy breakfast stuff, and you can go to the clinic. It starts around like 10 to 11, you can see. And evenings are pretty
Hmm.
hectic for us, but you can wind up by 7, 8. Now it depends upon your practice. There are people who start in the afternoon and work till 9, 10, and there are people who start like 10 to 6 sort of. So it's how you want to do your practice, but I would say it's relatively chill. When I see like other branches people around me, I'm like, okay, fine, it's like chill that way for sure.
So it is a cool branch, yes.
Definitely no night duties. I mean, what else do
Exactly.
you want? No night duties at all.
Yeah.
So even if you want, there are no night duties. Maybe like weekly once or something, some night call comes. It's mainly like you go, you see and write the notes or maximum admission. Nothing like a hectic thing. And especially in PG, it was 9 to 4. That was amazing. After 4 o'clock, you
Mhm.
get to do a lot of your things what you want to
Yeah.
do, unlike other branches actually.
So there is a good balance between the work life and personal life,
Yeah.
actually.
So a
Yeah.
lot of my friends I have seen in dermat, like they do only 4 hours slot in a day also. So you can be very flexible. It's just your call, like how you
Yeah.
want to set your practice, how you want like to run the clinic, and how you want to cater to your clients. So it's totally a personal
Yes. Yes.
choice. You'll have a lot of work-life balance
Hmm.
actually.
There is a saying actually, like there is something called road to happiness,
Yeah.
ROAD, which is radiology, opthal, anesthesia, and dermatology. Like these, in these branches, there can be flexibility of timings in the work actually. Like how many hours we can work is in our hands
Yeah,
only.
but I would say it's to an extent like okay with radio and dermat, but I don't see anesthesia. See, work hours will be
Yeah.
flexible, but the 3 4 hours you're working, the stress level is so much, right? I mean,
Very stressful.
anything
Yes,
happens,
yes.
it'll come upon anesthesia only, no? Opthal, yes,
Yeah, we'll be on our nerves every minute.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
So I have a very close circle with anesthesia, so I know how they function. Even if it is 4 5 hours, the amount
Yeah.
of risk is higher.
Yes, yes.
And
Very high, very high.
yeah, off tile, yes, but again, like when it is surgical, of course, there are certain risks, like which come up with that. But yeah,
Yeah. So actually on this note, I want to ask you something. Previously, dermatology was one of those least opted clinical branch after MBBS. Previously. But if we observe over the past decade, like over the past 10 years, there has been a lot of growing demand for dermatology as a career. Like you almost need to top the entrance to get into dermatology. So, like, what do you think must be the reason, like, which brought this change?
So I'll tell you why I landed up with derm at first. So I did not have
Mhm.
anything like on the head, like I want this branch, that branch. I'm like, okay, I don't want to like, waste an year or something. I just want immediately whatever I get, I'll pick it up. But yeah, at the back of my head,
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, I can't survive these night duties and all. But if I get it, like, I don't have any other option. And I wanted only a very good college. Typically, I wanted a government college, but I was not getting for my AIPG rank the government medical college. I waited till third counseling. Then I got MS Ramaya. I
Mhm.
heard the college is really good and you'll have like some advanced things also. So I was like, okay, let me take it. And the climate is also good in Bangalore. So my main thing was no night duty.
Yeah.
But I
Yes.
thought it
Yes.
was little easy, and I was so ignorant, or like I was not even aware that dermatology has sexually transmitted diseases and leprosy. I just did not have any clue about it. I just
Oh.
went and took it.
Mhm.
I'm sure like a lot of people also do not know that. Yeah.
People know dermatology, but not DVL,
Yeah,
actually.
that's what I was no, I had no clue literally, but just I went ahead and I took it. So the before years for my rank, I was waiting for Madras Medical College. The before years, the statistics when I
Okay.
saw, I'm like, okay, it's very easy. Beyond me, 1,000 people also they'll get it and all. But there was a drastic
Mhm.
change. This was I'm talking about 2015. There's a lot of
Okay.
awareness
Yeah.
for dermatology. So when I finished
Mhm.
dermat and when I'm seeing around, what I realize is before dermatology is like only OP, it's only medical cases, and it was the least opted. Like
Yes.
if you see
Yes.
Jipmer, Ames, and even like our
Mhm.
Usmania, Gandhi, anywhere, it's the least like maybe even if you don't get a great rank or like at the end also you get, it'll be like available sort
It
of.
will be there. Yeah.
Now
Exactly.
due to westernization and like a lot of fancy things and like
Mm.
cosmetology is also there, lasers,
Cosmetology.
yeah.
Yeah.
So initially when I see it in Bangalore and Hyderabad also, very few doctors were there who finished MBBS and like DD and went ahead like to London and like did few cosmetology things, came back and started practicing here.
Mm.
They have a
Yes.
very blooming practice even now. I think that's where
Yes.
it
Yes.
started, wherein you need not do just dermat. There is something fancy about it called aesthetics and cosmetology,
Mm.
wherein there is a huge
Yes.
the social media awareness which has started because of the research and people general awareness also, and people started picking it
Yeah.
up, and suddenly like now dermatology is top, and I'm like even in 2015 when I have seen how much people used to charge. Like, for example, if you talk about the management
Mm.
seats, it's like way higher for radiology. Even
Yes.
radiology, if you
Yes.
see, like before, like I think it's only an X-ray thing or
Yeah.
USG thing. Like people used to
True. True.
talk about it like
Yeah.
that. No, yeah, these are not the core branches, but dermat
Yeah.
evolves to be
Now there is intervention in every
yeah.
branch.
And
Yeah.
now I think it's every girl's like, fancy thing to be a dermat because you have that personal life, you have
Mm.
like, whatever you want. You can pursue your other dreams also. Maybe if you want to do something else, if you wanted to learn dance or like singing or anything basically. And the second
Yes. Yes.
important reason being parents, I feel, because they want their, especially when it comes to women, they want like their girls to have a little bit leisure time because they have been seeing doctors and hearing like it's a
Mm.
very busy thing, so we want
Yeah.
our daughters to be a little bit comfortable like that. Yeah,
Yes.
maybe if it is a son they would say okay fine, he should take the core branch or something, but with the girls they're like okay, let her take a little bit
Mm.
comfortable branch. It's more of like that is what I have seen. And mainly
Yes.
the
Yes.
comfort zone is a lot for dermat.
So talking about clinic, so on today's date, how difficult is it to establish yourself as a successful dermatologist or like establish your own clinic in a city like Hyderabad or Bangalore? Like how easy or difficult is it to establish your clinic and become successful?
So the competition is pretty high, but I would say because I have seen Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, all these places. So when you compare with those cities, I would say Hyderabad is still pretty much doable. There is competition, but there
Okay.
is scope too. And that's the main reason why I moved from Bangalore to Hyderabad in 2017. because I thought, okay, one thing is your hometown, and the second thing mainly is like there is a lot of scope. The city did not expand like to an extent like how you see in those cities. So there is definitely scope for someone
Yeah.
who can put in a great effort. Like you have to be there. See, any department, you have to be there every day possible. And dermat being a non-emergency, when a client calls and says, I need this treatment today, you have to make time for that. That's when you will be successful. And of course, your
Yes,
skill and
yes.
your communication skills, because being aesthetics,
Communication.
yeah,
Yeah.
aesthetics, no, it's very difficult. So this is a different kind of risk, I would put it at. It's not like like how you
Yeah.
anesthetist will have that risk of like death on table, or like something major BP fluctuations and all
Yeah.
that. Ours is a total different thing
Yeah.
about the result. Something happens on the face, people will be really
Face.
upset and you
Yes.
cannot counsel the client. So it's always better to not increase their expectations and give a very realistic
Mm.
picture. In spite of being so
Yeah.
cautious, also there are things which do happen. So you have to
Yes, yes.
plan, like you should have a strategy in your clinic for sure. It's not simply like, see,
Yeah.
putting a clinic, I'm sure like nowadays it's not so difficult. You find an area, I'm sure doctors
Mm.
will have like a good practice eventually. It's just a matter of that 1 year wherein you have to settle down with the clinic and all. So putting a clinic is not a thing.
Yeah.
Putting an effort to be there in the clinic every day, catering to every client possible, assessing your client well, and also like giving them a good treatment plan and getting back to them, doing the
Mm.
follow-ups. And one most important thing is, these days marketing is very important in dermat. Yeah.
Exactly. I was about to ask about that only because on today's day, there are many franchises. For example, if you take Oliva or any other franchise also, they do a lot of marketing. So ours being a private clinic, like how does the marketing strategy differ from theirs and ours?
Yeah. So, see, we have started clinic in August 2022, and it's not even a year. And we only have
Mm.
word of mouth, and luckily it's actually only the word of mouth, because the way I counsel them, and like the way you interact with the client and build up a relation is very important in dermat. Be it a medical or aesthetic. Medical, it
Yes.
takes so long like to get treated, because medical dermat is very complicated. To see, it's like, okay,
Mm.
fine, okay, 3 4 things, like 3 4 creams and all, but it's very complicated. At the same time, aesthetics also. So I build a rapport with the
Mm.
client, understand them, get to know them, like from inside what is bothering them. So it's mainly word of mouth which is working for us. But yes, definitely marketing is very
Mm.
important, I would say. There
Yeah.
are pros and cons with the marketing. One is the budget of the marketing. Second thing, through the
Mm.
marketing, when you get, not always you get the genuine people, but word of mouth, when you get,
Yeah.
it's actually a very strong referral, wherein people believe and they come
Of
for you.
course.
They come for the doctor. That's the
Mm.
end of the day. Like they come for the doctor. The doctor has to be
Yeah.
there. They should see the doctor. That's all.
Direct marketing will give genuine review of the people. Like word of mouth is the most strongest way of communication,
Any day.
is what I feel.
Yeah. But
And on
again,
today's date, the cheapest way, which will cater more audiences, social media marketing, I guess.
yeah. But the thing is, with the social media marketing, I see. I know every branch has like overlap, but in us, what's happening
Mm.
is, someone who has finished MBBS like will do some 2 months course, 1 month course. Someone who has finished like
Mm.
BDS, they will do some course. So the courses, there is no
Mm.
set MCI guideline, or like there's an Indian Association of
Mm.
Dermatology. There is no set guideline. Even they
Of
are
course.
like looking at it how to
Mm.
do, but there is no set guideline. So the cosmetology
Mm.
courses are being offered for everyone. So firstly, there is no cosmetology
Okay.
thing. It's
Mm.
all dermatology extension. But there is a shortcut what
Yes,
like
yes.
happens. So there's too much overlap, and we as doctors are very horrible like with the marketing skills. But other people, I see they're
Mm.
really strong with the marketing. So the marketing is everywhere. The visibility is everywhere, that people actually think they
Yeah.
are the dermats. They land
Mm.
up there. So I think like we as doctors should do a little
Oh.
bit of marketing. Although we have word of mouth, although we are actually
Mm.
occupied with what we are doing, I think
Yeah.
that's one thing which we lack. And especially in dermat, I think there is no other way. You have to do marketing
Mm.
at the end of the day, because This is
Yes,
Gen
yes,
Z population who scroll through their Insta and Facebook, all these, rather
exactly.
than
Yes,
asking
yes,
someone. They don't want to ask okay, whom did you go? Maybe in a
yeah,
casual meet catch up or something, they do ask, and some referrals do come like that. But typically, it's more of
yes, yes.
Instagram is what I
But
say.
that is rare.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Usually type in Google like nearest dermatologist near me, like dermatologist near me with good ratings and good reviews. That is how people are selecting their doctor, like nowadays.
Yeah.
So, like in concerning Clinica derm, like usually what are the most common conditions you see in your practice and what are the treatments that are available over there?
Yeah. So, Clinica Derm wants to serve both medical and aesthetic things. We don't want just aesthetic,
Hmm.
because a lot of people don't know dermats do treat simple things like urticaria, psoriasis, and all. So we want to cater both medical and aesthetic.
Mm,
So in the medical, we mostly see infections and urticaria and psoriasis or eczema. This is the section wherein
mm,
a lot of people do come. Now, in terms of aesthetics, we
mm.
have various things. Mainly, we see a lot of concerns regarding hair fall, who land up
Yeah.
with PRPs, GFC, or a mesotherapy and
Mm,
hair transplantation. This is like a shorter section, but we have multiple things. But hair fall is one common thing.
mm,
And in terms of skin, you can say pigmentation, tan, acne, and
mm.
also some other insulin resistance cases getting pigmentation on the neck.
Yeah.
And a next level aesthetic services will be full body laser hair reduction, and also skin tightening
Mm,
devices, and to be mentioned this high end aesthetic face contouring with the botulinum toxin or fillers, skin boosters.
mm.
So there are a lot of treatments available. Of them, these are most sorted ones. I mean, which is a
Okay.
requirement for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone wants tan removal. Everyone wants laser hair reduction, full body. So these are the very common
Yes.
ones
Yes.
out of a large bunch.
That's great. That's great. So mostly people come with chronic conditions to the dermatologist. Like they come with acne, they come with hair loss, they come with psoriasis. So which will usually take a long duration to heal completely. So I think counseling will play a very important role. Like a dermatologist primarily should have a good communication skills where she can talk with their patients, she can explain, she can, you know, I think communication skill is going to play a very important role, right?
Yeah, I totally accept that, because every consultation in dermatology, see, when I do consultations previously, when you see other OP, in a day you can see 70, 80 consultations. I can't say 70, 80. I can
Mm.
maximum see 10 to 15 or maximum 20, because every consultation
Okay.
takes 30 minutes. So we can't do consultations like
Mm.
before, because now people are more aware and they have more questions. I see few clients who are really into it. They actually write on the notes and they get the questions, and they want to ask the doctor. So it
Okay.
definitely takes 30
Okay.
minutes. So follow-ups, yes,
Yeah.
in a day when I mentioned 15 to 20, if there are a couple of follow-ups, you can finish the follow-up little faster. Typically, any
Mm.
consultation will last from
Yes.
20 to 30 minutes.
Mm.
Yeah. So we need to
Okay.
give time,
Yeah.
and you have to listen to the client. If you don't listen, what happens is they feel, okay, they just heard something, they just wrote and sent us off. So
Yeah. This is something the budding dermatologist has to note down actually.
yeah. And
Yeah.
sometimes the client will have multiple concerns. I mean, really multiple concerns with a large
Mm.
medical history. By the time you
Mm.
understand what it is, it's almost an hour. But that's our
Yeah.
duty,
Yes.
to listen to them, and also,
Mm.
help them out in how much of a way possible. And one more
Yeah.
important thing which works is being honest. I tell them, okay, you will get this
Mm.
much result. Otherwise, you just don't do it, because you're not going to see much change. Maybe
Mm.
you want to do it because you have seen lot of posts, or lot of your friends talking about it, but you are not going to get the result. Simply, you're going to put some money, time,
Mm.
pain, effort, everything. So
Yes. Yes.
just don't do it. So being honest is something actually people will what do you say, be grateful to you for.
Yeah. Even patient has to be honest with the doctor. Like whatever treatment you are giving, you ask them to take some tablets or anything. He has to be committed with the treatment actually. Otherwise, the results won't be seen naturally.
So firstly, in
Yeah.
dermat and aesthetics, what happens is already it's a time taking thing. Now, if they're
Mm.
not taking medicines, if we say the
Yeah.
result is 70-80%, which is very difficult most of the times to
Mm.
say, on top of it, if they're
Mm.
not taking medication or anything, again it comes down to 30 40
Non-compliance.
percent right? Yeah. And how many times you
Yes,
can
yes.
cancel the session? You can't cancel the session every time because they travel
Mm.
and come. So there are a couple of instances where
Yes, true.
I have told, okay, you are not using medication, there is no point in going ahead. Rather, stick there,
Mm.
take some time, 10-15 days, and then start the medication back and then come back to us, right?
Yes, yes, exactly.
And it's nothing like,
So,
fever or something wherein you give a weak course of tablets, it's done. Some things
yeah,
are like life, especially hair fall. It's like you have to use it till you want hair. So as soon as you say that, some
exactly.
people get startled. Some people are like, it's a burden they feel. Some people are like, okay, fine, I just want hair. Like, whatever it is, I'll use it. So
Yeah.
different perceptions, like, by different people, because not everyone is
Mm.
same. So it needs counseling and from their side
Yes, yes.
effort. So it's 50-50%. It's not like, from one side itself.
Exactly, exactly. True. So people usually assume that dermatology, like radiology, anesthesia, all these are end branches. So I'm just curious to know, uh, are there any super specialty or any fellowship options available after completing MD in dermatology?
So at a point of time, even I thought radio, pediatrics, dermat, and all these are end branches. I would say
Mm.
all of them are not,
Mm.
at least like, of how much I have understood. But dermat is an end branch. That's for sure.
Okay.
You do
Okay.
have some courses you might have to do to make your skills better, but that will be like,
Mm.
15 days, maximum a month. So you have fellowships and
Mm.
all, like, for a year post dermat, but that depends totally on the
Mm.
person who is doing or pursuing dermat, because not everyone will require, and it's not mandatory at all, and there is nothing recognized. So if you're
Okay.
doing from a average college, or like, not so good college, wherein your uh, what do you say, diagnosing skills, or like, your ACATs are not good, or your patient load is not good, that's when you'll feel, okay, fine,
Mhm.
I need something else. But if you're clear about the
Okay.
strategy, you can straight away finish your
Mm.
PG and, like, start a clinic, or work with someone,
Mm.
or work in a medical college, and slowly, like, you can just get to do like one or two fellowships, you will be sorted. So that way, because see, pediatrics is not, because there is neonatology which has come up, radiology everyone is doing
Yes.
interventional, oftal people
Intervention
do
radiology. Yeah.
fellowship, that's like, again super specialty sort of. Anesthesia,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
but again you have neuro, cardio, like liver
Yeah,
transplant,
yeah,
like
yeah,
anesthesia, all those. So
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
of all the things what I have heard, I think dermat is the easiest thing to finish off little early.
Mm, mm. So basically, I wanted to hear from you this one, sir. See, after COVID-19, I have seen few of my relatives and all, maybe because they have used steroids or something, they're getting a little bit immunocompromised or something. I don't know. People mainly complain of itching, like other skin problems, even psoriasis also got triggered after COVID-19. So, like, did you see a rise in any particular skin condition post COVID, like
So
in your patients?
yeah. So I have seen a lot of urticaria and herpes zoster cases.
Hmm.
So I don't know, because of the medication, because of the immunity, because of any change, inflammatory things inside. Urticaria has given a lot of what do you say, discomfort to most of the clients. And yes, herpes zoster,
Hmm.
like, I think during COVID itself, everyone used to come with herpes zoster. It's suddenly very surprising, wherein we have been seeing, but like, not these many cases in a week, 3-4 cases, like, out of that 5 to 10 load, because in COVID we had only 10 OP per day or so. Out of that, in a week, like,
Hmm.
3-4 people coming is a lot of herpes. That too in a aesthetic practice. See, medical college they do go in aesthetic practice,
Yeah.
online
Yes,
consultations
yes.
over herpes. And
Hmm.
yeah, I'm sure, like, a lot of people have experienced more than 80% of the volume loss of the hair. A lot of them had hair
Yes,
fall.
yes.
So apart
Hmm.
from skin, hair fall is one thing. And yes, I have heard, like, a lot of people, like, post medication. See, which is expected for COVID,
Hmm.
you have to take the medication, but post medication, post steroids and all, you do get some amount of acne flare up and also bone pains. So even these, like, randomly when you
Okay.
take the history, people talk about, like, having bone pains, or like, uh,
Hmm.
fractures and all that. Like, especially women, I have seen talking about it. And
Yeah.
acne, yes, a lot of people got, like, it's for both men and women, like they did get good amount of acne and hair fall.
Yes, yes. Very true. Very true. So we have spoken about all the pros of dermatology actually. Like, is there any con? Like, other than, see, communication skill is one where we have to be very good at communication. Other than that, is there anything, any con
Yeah,
about
so
dermatology?
I feel cons about dermat is it's a long term thing actually. Like when you counsel the client and all, the main con is
Mm,
you first of all when you join dermat only you'll forget about other branches little bit. To be very honest, the
mm,
core skills will come down. Like if someone asks me about some solid question about maybe something about neurology and all, so already the expertise is less
mm,
during MBBS. Post that, it will become even more lesser. And once you start your practice and you're indulged totally into dermat, the con is other
mm.
things you might not understand that well. Okay. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
okay.
I'm sure, all the dermats should express and accept that fact because a lot of things,
Mm,
about recent advances in other medication and all, we wouldn't know unless you're working in a super specialty
mm.
hospital wherein you have a lot of cross reference. You
Yes.
get to talk to other doctors and all. Otherwise, you
Mm,
will lose the
yeah.
touch for sure. And
Mm,
the third thing is yes, it's become more of aesthetic and less of dermat and and too many branches
mm,
looking at aesthetic practice because since they feel it's a little bit easy,
mm.
so that overlap is a lot. I feel. I think that's about it. See, counseling the
Yeah.
client, talking about the risk and if the clients are not happy, so those will be there in every branch. I feel so if I have to put it as
Mm,
a con, yes, because on a day-to-day basis, we get clients. It's not only during the surgery or something. Every day we have the clients, and
mm,
every day seeing OP is actually a con because you need to have a different schedule, different days. Like every day is
mm.
very monotonous. But I enjoy it because I'm a
Monotonous.
workaholic. But otherwise, you can put it as a
Yeah.
con because every day you have to be there. It's nothing can change it or something.
Like, there are many people on social media also giving a lot of skincare advices and all. Even like they are not even MBBS or any dermatology
Yeah, I
also.
mean,
They
influencers
keep giving
are a lot
skincare
of
routines,
people.
skincare advices.
Yeah,
Yeah, and people are actually following them. People are actually following their advices also.
yeah.
Yeah. So, what, according to you, is the best skincare routine like one must follow in their everyday life, doctor? Like, is there any, and also is there any difference in skincare routine for men and women, or both are same? Like, what is your take on this?
So skincare between men and women, see the routine is same for both men and women, but the products they'll have a
Mm,
slight change for men than women because see male skin is different because of the hormonal thing, because of the thickness of the skin and because of the beard and all. You can go slightly stronger in terms of
okay.
face wash and night creams and all that. For women, we slightly try to be subtle, but skincare steps will be the same.
Mm,
And I would say people who are less than 20 or 25, don't think you'll start your skincare later because this was in 2008 when I joined MBBS. For some reason,
mm,
I had got a rash or something wherein my dermat in college itself, he had given me sunscreen. I was like, why should I use?
mm,
But I thank him even till date because since then I never stopped using sunscreen. And actually, it makes a
mm,
good difference wherein the signs of aging, fine lines, dullness, pores and all will come down, or rather, you don't start getting them. So the skincare basically should have a
okay.
good face wash and a mandatory sunscreen in the morning. In the evening, you can
Mm,
use a face wash, a good moisturizer, and some night cream depending on the concern which your doctor will choose and give. So this is standard for both men and
okay.
women. But if you can't
Mm,
stick to such a long thing, which actually it's not long, it's doable. But at least a face wash and a
mm.
sunscreen, you'll thank yourself later after 10 years or 5 years for sure.
Yeah. Like, what is the order in which they have to be placed? Like, there is a moisturizer, there is a face cream, and then there is a sunscreen. In what order we need to place all these?
So, wash your face, apply the moisturizer, and then sunscreen in the morning. In the evening, wash your
Mm.
face, apply the moisturizer and night cream. I prefer like putting moisturizer first because the blending is good. Because most of the time, sunscreen when they apply, they say, "Oh, it's becoming white cast. I don't like it. It's heavy and all." Such concerns will never
Mm.
come if your sunscreen formulation is good and if you apply it on moisturizer. In the evening, because they're actives, like having said the term actives like contain all these mild exfoliants. You apply a moisturizer
Mm.
and on top of it you apply active. You don't have any irritation, you don't have any
Mm.
discomfort, so it's pleasant for your skin. Only when it is pleasant you'll continue using it on a long term, otherwise you would want to stop.
True. So whenever we want to apply any product, we have to actually know the skin type, what they say. So whether you have a dry skin or an oily skin, is there any simple way where we can know like whether our skin is dry skin or oily skin or mixed type?
Yeah, so before this social media has become too popular or something, like during UG, it's just like I'm telling a story. During UG, a friend of mine, they were testing in their room basically. So at night, they wash the
Mm-hmm.
face and they don't apply anything.
Okay.
And next day morning, when they wake up, they take a tissue which they cut tiny slits of eye and near the mouth and this thing, and they put the tissue. They just dab it for a
Okay.
while and then they
Okay.
see. So that's how they used to test. I
Mm-hmm.
thought, okay, fine. I never heard about it that time. This was way back in 2009 or 10. But now, like when I
Okay.
see, everyone is actually trying it out. And after coming to
Mm.
aesthetic practice, I realized, okay, fine, that's how it goes also. So if the tissue gets a little bit
Mm.
what do you say, the oiliness like gets stuck, it's oily. If it is normal,
Okay.
there is nothing. If it is dry, you will yourself feel every time dryness on the skin also. So only to
Mm.
differentiate normal to oily, you would want to do that. And the second
Mm.
thing is the skin type. When you see the texture of the skin, like when a doctor examines, so if you're oily skin, you'll have
Mm.
those open pores. If you have acne also, and there are subtle telltale signs. What you can say, this is because of oily skin. And dryness you can obviously see. Most of the people fall in normal to oily, because in the center part they'll have oil and the surrounding part looks more of normal skin type. But yeah, you
Okay.
can
Okay.
definitely say which skin type do they belong to, because of the history
Mm.
they give, and because of whatever you examine. So there is a
Yes.
wonderful object like a handheld dermoscope. It's like a handheld lens.
Mm.
When you examine under
Yes.
that, everything is clear. So I
Mm.
think that's a blessing to a
Yeah.
dermat, which has come up like in the past
Mm.
few years. And it actually works
Mm.
good, and your job is much easier, because you need not go ahead and
Yeah.
do biopsy for even bigger things, like even psoriasis, LP, uh,
Mm.
common skin medical conditions also. You can just diagnose it under dermoscopy, and you can avoid a biopsy.
Yes.
So
Yes.
even in dermoscope, you can see about the hair and skin. So you can assess better. At least
Mm.
to tell the client, see, this is the thing what you have. It makes it easier for both the parties.
So, like, there are some millions of skincare products available in the market, but how should one choose the best product for them? Like, there are some like, are there any minimum requirements we should consider before choosing any product? Because every product has a tagline literally saying that it is dermatologically tested. So, how can one choose the best product for them?
So I think that's why we are here. Maybe we have to see the skin
Yeah.
and give what is the best product for them. Now, when see,
Yeah.
these are all the marketing strategies. I'll be very open about it. So when you say
Mm.
dermatologically tested, it doesn't mean that
Mm.
it's only tested by
Suitable
a
for
set of
you.
dermats who said, okay, this is good. Like for example, if someone gives me 10 creams, I'll say,
Mm.
yeah, these are good, like they work for me, that's all. It's dermatologically tested.
Mm.
So the standard
Yeah.
guideline is
Okay.
not there. So it's just that dermatologically it's suggested.
Mm.
It's something like this product is organic. What is organic about any product? It can never be organic. You have to add some
Yes.
amount of chemical to make it stay for a
Chemical.
month, 2 months. If
Obvious.
you're putting date of expiry a year, how can it be organic? So it can't be. You have to add
Mm.
something. So it's something like that. Dermatologically tested is not that it's foolproof or something. For
Mm.
sure, individual
Yeah.
variation will be there, and this product will suit you or not is what your doctor can tell you once they assess you better.
Mm. Yes. Yes. So, what is the most common mistake you think people make about their skincare routine? Like, and can you share any secret skincare routine that you follow?
My skincare routine is actually pretty simple. It's the same thing. Morning, I have to apply moisturizer and sunscreen. As I told, I have been doing this since
Mm.
2008 time because I get a lot of requests or compliments from my clients itself saying your skin looks good.
Mm.
And I have seen a lot of
Yeah.
dermats are also having, so I don't know, it's a cycle where either dermats have good skin and they take dermatology, or because it's like that cycle.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, like people do ask me, but my routine is pretty simple. I use a good moisturizer, which is basic, and a sunscreen. At night, shouldn't be saying sometimes I skip the active, but most of the times I try to apply.
Mm.
But actives, no, I started using it only from 2015 since I joined Dermat, because before that I did not knew. It's the same
Okay.
skincare
Okay.
basic routine what I mentioned. It's that what I follow.
So, can you throw some light on the role of diet and lifestyle in maintaining a good skin
A lot.
and hair health?
A lot actually. It's quite relatable because your gut is directly related to all your skin and hair disorders and lifestyle also. See,
Mm.
now it's become I would say 90% of my clients have very bad lifestyle or very bad dietary things. You eat at
Mm.
odd timings whenever you want. You eat at uh, what do you say, disproportionate ratio of the food, or there's no lifestyle at all, your lifestyle is so bad that you're sleeping. So when I ask
Mm.
when do you sleep, is your sleep sufficient, automatically they'll say no, I sleep 8 hours. But that doesn't mean your circadian rhythm is what I totally believe.
Mm.
It starts
Yeah.
with the sunrise and sunset. After sunset, within 2 hours, you have to consume something, and then
Mm.
after that, don't eat anything, and you have to sleep on time. So typically, you have to
Mm.
sleep like 9, but it's practically not possible. I would say okay, 10 o'clock, and wake up whenever you
Mm.
want. That makes your body fall into that cycle, and your metabolism is good, your mental peace is there, your hormones work well, because 8 a.m.,
Mm.
8 p.m. are your steroids. Since this timings, that's when they advise
Mm.
you to have food and everything, basically all your set regime is according to your bodily functions, that is circadian rhythm. If you're not following that and
Yeah.
deviating from it, you have a total hormonal
Mm.
imbalance going on. Now, with the hormonal imbalance, what we are
Mm.
seeing in the skin is acne, hair fall, insulin resistance, obesity causing other bodily
Mm.
problems like frictional melanosis,
Yeah.
macular
Mm.
lesions, and a couple of other
Yeah.
things are also there, like both medical and aesthetic. They do have metabolic syndrome will
Mm.
increase your psoriasis. So there are a lot of issues
Yeah.
which we usually see with the diet and lifestyle. And in dermat, especially, it
Mm.
actually holds a strong role. So it has a
Yes.
correlation for sure.
Yeah. So people going with any skin problem or hair problem, you usually suggest weight loss, then quit smoking and alcohol, have good sleep. All these things are going to play a major role other than the medications, right?
Yeah, so my 10 minutes of counseling will go off in that, but I don't know whether my client will remember for the
Yeah.
next session or not. Because every time we try to, ask
Yes.
their weight if there is any reduction or something. But I have seen,
Mm.
3 clients of mine who are very, 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 they have changed a lot. And I am thankful to them because
Mm.
I can quote them as an example. But it would be nice, if
Mm.
people actually understand that it's for their own health and for the well-being. Basically, it's not for skin and hair. If you're following that, your body will thank you. Basically,
Yeah.
yeah.
True. True. So talking about hair health, like uh, alopecia, what we call for hair loss. So does PRP really help in this hair growth? Like, and I have
Yes.
recently heard something called PRF also. Like, what is the difference, and which would you recommend?
So PRF is what do you say, a crude version of PRP. PRP is more sophisticated,
Mm.
and both of these will give you the
Mm.
results. The problem with PRF is the injection technique gets difficult and the pain and discomfort are more. But
Mm.
when you see the results, why so far I have seen good results both with PRF and PRP. There is no difference
Okay.
in that, because ultimately, we give medication to the client, they have to use that. It's always a combination thing of the medication and your PRP or PRF or meso, along with a good lifestyle and
Mm.
diet. So we assure the clients there
Okay.
is result, but only to a certain extent. It's not a full
Mm.
change or something, but they will get better, and also they maintain what result they have got with the help of medication. but surely there'll be the result. And yeah, the main thing here is the choosing the right client is important. If you're in grade 7, grade 6, and you're just doing PRP, now tell me how is it going to work? Or you counsel the client, okay, it's only going to give you some 10 to 20% result, that's all. So it's mainly choosing the client and the client following everything or not. But
Yes,
PRP is
yes.
like, it's not the test and trial and tested sort of. It's like, proven. Over the trial phase, it's proven that it's going to give you results.
Yes, it will give some growth factors which will
So we do
improve the
PRP
hair
for the
growth.
face also, doctor, actually. For the face also we do. So it works differently on the face, it works differently on the scalp. And I have heard PRP
Okay.
pain physicians do for the knee joint also. Yeah.
Yes,
But
yes.
it has
They actually
multiple
do. Yes.
indications, yeah. Knee and I think ankle also, like, they do the PRP. And also a couple of other
Yeah.
places also I have heard, like, PRP is used. So every area it works a different, theoretically, it's
Different.
different, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So usually you supplement PRP with some medications like finasteride, for example. So I heard that finasteride can cause erectile dysfunction in males. So how far is it true that Finax can cause erectile dysfunction? And have you seen any case in your practice?
So, but the moment we say finasteride, firstly, clients will be a little bit skeptical because everyone Googles it nowadays. But the problem is, like,
Yeah.
it is mentioned, but at what dosage, at what age, it's not mentioned. And I haven't seen anyone so far having erectile dysfunction with finasteride. Also, if you see the meta-analysis, because if you see like one or two journals and all, it's different. If you see the meta-analysis,
Yeah.
it's proven that
Metan.
finasteride and dutasteride do not have any of the side effects actually. And we give a very low dosage. See, if the client is Googling it and then after too much of convincing from our side, he's taking it, even if he doesn't have it, he feels it. It's a psychological thing because in erectile
Psychological
dysfunction, also
dysfunction.
the main cause, if you
Yeah.
see etiology, it will be like
Yeah, yeah.
psychological most of the times.
Psychological thing.
Yeah, so it's that
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
But we give that benefit of doubt to them. Okay, fine, you use it. If you feel anything different, you can stop it because it's all reversible. Because the client comfort is important. So far, we haven't seen, not only me,
Yeah.
like, couple of my friends, when we discuss about this finasteride, no one has any issue. And, like, people are pretty okay to take it. Because in my family also, like,
Yes, yes.
my cousins or like my brother, like, so many people have like taken it and they're still taking it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's only that
So it is
misconception
safe
or
to
like
take.
Google thing.
If it is recommended by a dermatologist, we can safely take it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because see, some part of the hair, the thinning, it doesn't respond with like just when you put the topicals or like some orals. You need something like finasteride like to respond actually.
That was nice, doctor. So I have prepared a small meme segment or a picture segment. Like I'll display some memes on dermatology, and I want you to give your opinion about that.
Okay, done. Let's do it.
So dermatology, if it's wet, keep it dry. If it's dry, keep it wet. So what do you think about this? This actually happens, right?
Yeah, this actually happens.
That is a formula.
Yeah.
Like there should be something normal between wet and dry.
I'm just thinking, like, with which condition I can relate with. Suddenly, it's just not striking to my head. But I would say it's actually correct.
It's actually correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Memes are made from real life events, actually.
Yeah.
Something happens to the skin. Dermatologist putting cortisol.
This is 1000% correct. We do put various, like, steroids sort of, but that's our bread and butter. And yeah, if someone is too scared about it, like, we are there to counsel. But yeah, it's always better, like, if your dermatologist gives than OTC, because the problem happens only with OTC. People will go and apply and then get some 100 side effects. But if a dermat is giving, they know, like, for how long to give and all. I'm sure most of them, like, will counsel well. But we live on steroids actually, like even the topical, oral, like everything. Most of our things, like deal
Exactly.
around the immunosuppressant, and first thing is steroid for us.
Yes, yes. But obviously with an indication.
Yeah.
So nothing to worry. Yeah. First National Dermatology Conference as a future dermatologist. Gate pimple just popped in the middle of my forehead. This is to a dermatology PG actually.
Oh. Oh, you should
Yeah.
see the uh, stress in some people wherein they get pimple. Actually, it's very stressful sometimes.
Yeah. Your paper is on pimple acne and you get an acne. Dude, I told you to use sunscreen.
This
It's
is so
burning.
cute, actually. Yeah.
There's a similar meme. Jimmy, you forgot to wear sunscreen again, didn't you? Like the chicken
Yeah.
got cooked actually.
That's also
I
true.
also wanted to ask this. So, how much SPF is a like right SPF for a situation? Like, does how much SPF we should keep depends on the place we are going.
I think in India,
Okay, like we are going to a
40.
beach side, we are going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In India, 40 is good enough, but someone who is very sensitive to the sun, or someone who has some medical grade skin conditions like maybe SLE, or what we call is actinic LP,
Mm,
or something which involves sunlight and their sensitive skin condition also, we ask them to go for beyond 50. Or someone who is actually traveling and they want that extra ounce of sun protection, yes, they can go for 50, depending on the places mountains, or beaches wherein they get exposed for a lot of duration also. Yes, they can go, but otherwise for a
mm,
regular day-to-day work like within India, I think 40 is perfectly good enough. It's just that you have to reapply it rather than just applying once and thinking, okay, the job is done. Reapplication is important.
yeah. Okay. This pimple seems like one I can pop Instagram me. Like this is a very common myth. I don't know if it is a myth or is it really true. Like when we pop the pimple before it fades away by itself, there again many acne can come again in the same place.
So
Like is that
basically,
really true?
you are disrupting that inflammatory process which is happening around your hair, right? On the Around the oil gland, you're trying
Mm,
to disrupt it. So the inflammation will slightly spread and get irritated, becomes bigger. The second thing which can
mm,
happen is they can get a bad scar, sort of the depressed scar which happens.
yeah.
So that can happen. So it's better just apply some gel and leave it off rather than being in this situation and struggling later on.
Mm. Even applying ice actually works, right, doctor?
Well, that's maybe because the vascular component of the acne will slightly
Mm.
constrict, so you feel little better.
It's too expensive. It works, says the dermatologist. Actually, this is a big concern for patients when they go to a skin doctor. Like their wallet will become empty.
So yeah, that meme is actually funny. That's true too. But I would say it depends. You can actually give a cream which is slightly lesser expensive. See, ultimately the client
Mm,
should see the result. If you are a doctor who is working for your client, you can set the range
mm,
and ask them, because sometimes I do ask them, are you okay? Because this is going to cost so and so. Are you okay? Like you want a change or something.
mm,
Few clients are okay, or I give two options because see, there are some things what we when we choose a product, because most of the products I choose by applying or trying out on myself most of the times. So
mm.
I kind of feel a comfort with the product along with the result. There is one more thing only the result, and there are certain things the odor and all that. Like for someone who has migraine, they can't take it.
Yeah.
So those
Mm,
things. So there are
yeah.
always two range of products which you can suggest to your client, which I do, and
Mm,
that's the best way to
mm.
go, I think, because you can't let go of a client just because the price is more. You can definitely give
Yes.
something as an
Yes.
alternative. Also, I tell them, okay, it takes
Mm,
maybe 15 days longer than the existing, like what you prefer. Also, I think that makes them very
yeah.
comfortable with the doctor.
Mm. Yes, yes. Because even when the client comes for the first time, we get even many tests also done. Like we want to see any vitamin deficiencies and all. So even that costs for them. Again, the medication costs for them, and also he has to repeatedly come to you. So overall, usually the charges are usually high for the client.
Yeah.
So when you spend $10,000 on a hair transplant and discover you're going to need another one. So I pity on him. But how far is it true that people will need another hair transplant?
Actually, this happens because we have done couple of hair transplant cases who have got it done
Mm,
somewhere else, um maybe by
mm,
by spending less, by a technician who portrays themselves
Oh.
as a hair transplant surgeon or something, because we do need assistance, right? So we do
Yes,
need, but
yes.
someone who is working for
Mm.
8 to 10 years, they go out and they
Mm.
do themselves, and it's like a very badly done transplant. Also, a couple of
Oh,
cases who have
okay.
got it done like outside India, we have actually seen, like, for example, yesterday only we have
Mm.
done a case wherein they
Mm.
did it, but the post care is bad and the technique is bad that they
Okay.
land up with another transplant. But otherwise,
Mm.
wherein we are doing properly at a center, like with good counseling, and the medication is followed
Mm.
and it's done by a authentic, a dermatologist, dermatosurgeon, or a plastic surgeon sort of. For sure, the results will be
Mm.
good and they will not need any other transplant again. Well, there is
Okay.
a certain
Mm.
set of scenario wherein, after 15, 20 years, see, there is always some amount of hair
Mm.
thinning happening because of the aging. You would not require
Mm.
a hair transplant the second time, but there is always something
Mm.
which you have to do for maintenance to retain the hair, right? So that's all. But
Yes,
otherwise,
yes.
we don't do a second transplant usually. And yeah, there is another
Mm.
scenario wherein, entirely they are bald, like literally entirely, and you
Yes,
still
yes.
want to have hair.
Mm.
So we don't go ahead in one single, although we have latest technology nowadays, but like till last year, what we used to do is put it in the front part and then wait for 6 months and then put it over here. It's a doctor's choice altogether.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, we just don't do one more transplant unless
Yeah.
failure
Yes,
case,
yes.
like, yeah.
Yeah. It is actually an allograft level. Like, even to have a hair transplant, you should
You
have
should
hair.
have some hair, I know.
Hair. Yeah.
Yeah,
That is
like
the
I
irony.
feel sad. I feel sad, but for people wherein the donor area is so bad now, what to do?
Mm.
Luckily, we have been started doing, the beard transplant, taking from here, and the chest hair transplant. So, but
Oh,
we get
okay.
limited
Mm.
follicles though.
Yeah.
But hair holds a great aesthetic thing, like in everyone's life, right?
Yeah.
Because when the hair
Yes,
is good,
yes.
you feel younger. You
Mm.
can play with your hairstyles, like you can actually look
Yeah.
different. So it actually holds us.
Mm.
Unfortunately for men, this androgenic alopecia, like nowadays, we are
Mm.
seeing from like age of 15, 16 only. That's what lifestyle there holds a lot of importance actually.
Important.
So
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Me,
What
after
do you think?
using a bunch of anti-aging cream, she became so young that she became a toddler.
I wish people become like that. So that people will not come to us and ask
That
for
that
anti-aging.
that's how much crazy people are about using these anti-aging creams nowadays.
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah. But a
Yeah.
cream is going to help you to a certain extent. Like, remember, the cream
Mm.
can't remove the tan fully, and we have to do a couple of
Mm.
other things for the tan. Where will it
Yeah.
become like that? But actually,
Yeah.
people do expect. I mean, there's no wrong in expecting, but realistic. That's all it has to
Mm.
be. But this is very
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. And this is the last one.
We're learning about
We
triage.
learning about triage, crisis, BLS, CLS, and dermatologist be like,
I
so
think
how
we
does it feel?
always
But
spoke
like
about.
the ED is on fire and like you're like just holding a coffee, chilling, talking on the phone, like ignoring what all the things are happening over there.
It
Yeah.
feels like, oh my God, we don't belong here. Because
Yeah.
firstly, you don't know what to do, right? That's what we were discussing about it earlier. Like being a dermat, you'll
Mm.
forget this BLS, ACLS, and all. So
Yes.
my husband is an anesthetist, so he's like, how are you good with, like, how many times you have done this BLS and all? I'm like, excuse me, I think only once because it's mandatory in the college. He's
Yeah.
like, how many times
For
have
the
you done
case of
CPR?
certificate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not proud of it, but then he asked me, like, how many times you have done CPR?
Mm.
I'm like, this was way back in 2013. I did CPR, and yeah, like it was way long back. Almost it's been 10 years since I did a CPR. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think so we can understand. But there are few doctors actually, like, who are good in the medical setup
Mm.
and all. Maybe they will have it. But we as dermats and aestheticians, I don't think so. Like.
Yeah. So that is all about names. So the last question for the day, doctor. So what advice would you give to someone who is considering a career in dermatology?
So I would say it's actually great. Go ahead and take it. people might have like different opinions, like because I have seen like like even my parents were like mainly my dad was slightly skeptical. Okay, how is it like in dermat? Because they know the core branches, they don't know like being a non-medico family, like they were little bit concerned because they know only that time dermat practice, right? So they were like, okay, fine, like
Yes.
um, is it like good or like not? Because for them service is important, sort of. But I would say like dermat has changed a lot, and choose one thing, either medical or aesthetic in the beginning, because if you try to do both you'll not be satisfied. That's what I'm saying, like with this generation who are coming up post PG. So either get your basics really good. That's the first thing to do in post graduation. Don't concentrate too much on aesthetics during your PG, because see, you have your basics right, you will definitely flourish, be it aesthetics or be it like medical. It's just that you have to be a little bit smart enough to make things clear in your head, like what you want to do. That's all. But otherwise, dermat as a career option is really good. You'll have that balance. You can like spend time for yourself also. The stress is there, but I think it's limited. Also, like if you want to keep it only within the clinic thing, it'll be there. It's not like something which is going to what do you say, like haunt you like so much. But still, like you have to act with caution. But I think dermat is a really good option. Yeah, there is some saturation for sure, but tell me which branch doesn't have saturation? All the branches have saturation.
Of
So
course.
get the basics good, like do your ACATS properly, and then you can choose like maybe a medical college, maybe a medical college with private practice, or like only aesthetic thing. So you can choose comfortably later on. For anything to do, basically you should know basics. So when someone is telling something, you should know whether it's correct or not. That happens only when your foundation is strong, sort of, right? So, but as a career, I
Yes.
think it's good. It's smooth as long as like you can take it well.
Thank you, doctor. So actually, those were some really very valuable insights, doctor. And thank you once again for taking the time to be here and sharing your knowledge and expertise with us. And I'm looking forward to meet you again on my channel.
Yeah. Thank you so
And
much for having me. Actually, it's something like fun, and like podcast is something which I have been planning to do, but it never happened. But thanks to you, because finally it just happened, and that too after multiple discussions. I think finally.
multiple, yeah,
And my bad, that's
yeah,
because of my timing issue. But yeah, like I'm more than
yeah.
happy actually to talk and have a word with you. And also, someone who is actually aspiring to be a dermat, I'm sure this will be helpful. Also, if there is anything, I
Definitely.
mean, here and there, like, a lot of people we do know, right? So you can just get in touch with
Yes.
the people around you, and like, you can figure
Mm.
out if you have any confusion
Yes, yes.
about dermat, because
Mm.
various people give various opinions, but again, as I told you, have to be strategically clear. That's all. Every branch is good.
Yes, yes.
Every branch is good in its own way. It depends on what you
Mm.
want from the branch, and what you want from your life is what you can choose. That's the thing at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Those were golden words, sir. Yeah. So, and also, whoever is listening to this, don't forget to like and share this video, and do follow Dr. Deepthi
Yes.
Atmakuri on Instagram for more skincare and healthcare
You
related
will like the
tips.
page.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. The link will be pinned in the description box below. And so that's all for today, guys. And see you in the next
Thank you so
episode.
much,
Thank
guys,
you.
and thank you, Dr. Karthik, for having me.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
doctor.